So I'm here with Nick Matthews. Hi, Nick.
Hello, nice to
And
be here.
yeah, I know it's a pretty awesome festival. Hey.
I'm having a great time thus far.
Yeah, so Nick is the director of the film called The One-Eyed Girl. So tell us a little bit about the film.
Well, it's a psychological thriller and it's having its world premiere in Muston tonight.
Exciting. Yeah, but you're no stranger to the film festival circuit and
Seen a little bit before. This
yeah.
is my first movie as a director, so
Right, what were
uh,
your other roles in those films?
I produced a movie a few years ago called 237.
Yep,
That was in Cannes, so that
yep.
was a great honour to walk the blue carpet as it was in certain regard. And I was also what was I, the DOP and the editor of that film as well.
Yep.
So uh, yeah, it feels a little different this time. It feels a bit more personal
Yeah.
somehow.
So how did you get involved with this film from the start?
Uh, well, myself and the producer David and Craig Behenna, who's the co-writer, we all formed a kind of a collaborative little unit, and we were luckily accepted into a program called Film Lab that gave us a budget to make a movie, and we were in a sense selected as a team rather than for a particular project. So in a sense, we had the amazing opportunity to basically decide on what project we would go ahead and pursue.
Most people who watch our website and videos
Yeah.
are independent filmmakers
Okay.
who are pretty much trying to get to where you've gone and are
Yeah.
going. So, is there anything that you would like to offer as advice, that specifically to Australians making indie films?
Okay. Well, I think in regards to sort of breaking into the film industry, I think if there's any advice that I would have, I'd say that would be to get skilled, to have a skill. I mean, that's just from my point of view and how I approached my trajectory toward being a filmmaker and particularly towards being a director. Is I kind of took the approach long ago that I would get a skill and I would make myself useful, and that happened to be in cinematography. That was the thing that I seemed to kind of have some kind of aptitude for that, despite the fact that I sort of had every intention when I was a kid to actually be an actor, and I used to do a whole lot of acting, and I was kind of fixated with the craft of that. But as I went to university, I just gradually became more and more interested in being behind the camera, and I think the one way that at least I managed to build a career was that I was employable and I was employed, and I don't know. Look, I think everybody's got a different trajectory, but I think sometimes in Australia there's a bit of an idea that as a director you're kind of I think there's sometimes a lack of pragmatism in the approach. I think often people kind of think, oh, I'm just sort of this weird kind of anointed person who doesn't have any tangible skill, but I have this amazing narrative in my head that I desperately need to share with the world. I mean, look, all of that stuff is, you do need to have vision, and you need to have a story, and you need to have, I suppose, the belief in yourself to tell a story. But if you don't understand camera work, you don't understand editing, and you can't talk to actors, then you're really behind the eight ball. And I think we could learn in Australia a lot from perhaps a more American way of thinking, which is that film directing is exactly that. It's directing, like, I don't know, it's probably an overly pragmatic example, but it's like directing traffic. You literally you stand there and you have to say, look, you go here, you do this. Here's the camera, here's the actor, and I think it's a really good way to start. And if you're confident in the mechanics, then you can expend all your energy and your focus can be on the really important stuff, which is fine tuning performance.
Yeah. Cool. And what's next for you?
I'm writing a very, very different film that I'm going to be collaborating with David Go, our producer again, and that's it's a thriller about a girl who escapes an orphanage in Siberia,
Wow.
and it's a revenge thriller. She
Yeah.
basically is a young woman that escapes a very brutal institution, and she hunts down. Her mission is to hunt down the people that wronged her family.
Yep. And did you say you're co-writing that with David?
No,
you're
I'm
writing it.
writing it, and
Yeah.
but it's something that David will produce.
Yep. So all of you work well together. Will you continue working together?
Yeah, definitely. We have every intention of keeping together the team. I'd love to work with some of the same cast again. I'm a massive sycophantic fan of Mark Winter, who plays Travis in the film, and Tilda Cobham-Hervey, who plays Grace, and Craig, who plays Tom, Stephen Marquand, who plays Jay. They're all people that I would love to keep working with. So yeah, I mean, the one thing that we've learned about is that we all kind of have our roles to play, and yeah, but we work well together as a team, and I think that's a really important thing in filmmaking.
And what about things that you learnt through making this film that you can now use in other films that you wouldn't have learnt if you weren't making this particular film?
Yeah, that's a good question. This particular film. I've learnt so much making this film. I mean, it's, as much as I do have a long background in filmmaking, that's very much, I suppose, a lot of that focus has been about cinematography, about telling us a visual story. I think with One Eyed Girl, the thing that was really interesting for me was coming full circle again back into the world of performance and fine-tuning and collaborating and having that conversation, that ongoing conversation with actors, and that for me is the most fascinating part at the moment of the process. And I think that that's really the spirit of collaboration with performers is something that for me was really different about this project. It's something that I really think I place it now at the top of my sort of list of importance.
Good. Yeah, and I'm sure that comes across on the screen.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope it comes across. I hope that, I mean, I'm really proud of the actors, and I hope that what you mostly hope for as a filmmaker, particularly I think as a director, perhaps is that you've created an authentic experience for people, and it's hard. It's really, really difficult to do that.
The people behind the Austin Film Festival certainly think so.
Yeah, they like it.
And
we'll find out tonight whether anyone else does.
Yeah, but just back to the issue of funding, because that is a difficult thing in Australia for people to come about and to know how to go about finding alternative sources of funding. If you hadn't received that first initial grant, do you think this film would have been made? Because I think that's what stops a lot of people from starting or getting past a certain point.
Yeah. Look, I think that the funding program that we were a part of was an amazing opportunity. I think it was, as I mentioned, we were supported as filmmakers, irrespective of project. We were kind of luckily anointed, and I don't come from that place of feeling like one of those anointed people. I don't fit necessarily the stereotype of the Australian anointed filmmaker. I think I have a very different spirit to a lot of the way in which that world works, and I think some of the work that I've done in the past has been testament to that. I mean, I think for a while I was in a sense the sort of bête noire because of producing this film 237. It was without any government finance, and in a sense I think there were certainly people that looked on at myself and the director with a little bit of disdain because the film achieved a lot. It went to Cannes and it made a lot of money. It did well financially, and it was an interesting journey to see that the response to that from the traditional agencies and from people. And look, some of that response was perhaps, there was a bit of arrogance and brashness going around at the time that probably exacerbated that situation. But I don't think I'm necessarily caught up in that world of government finance, and I don't think filmmakers in Australia should obsess over it.
Yeah.
I think now digital technology is so enabling. It's for people who don't have much money, and I certainly don't come from a privileged background. I come from a pretty working class background. and you know, I didn't go to a posh school or anything. I don't have friends or family in the film industry, and here I am being a filmmaker. So
Yeah,
you can do it, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, I think there's no reason now why you can't get you know, a $1,500 camera, and or $500
This is
or
180.
a 180
It's the basic entry.
There you go. So, and you know, and make a movie that where it is not going to be judged. It'll be judged on its merits in terms of its story, and that will be its traction.
Yeah.
Not, you know, how many pixels. It used to be how many pixels, because, you know, 10 years ago when I first started as a cinematographer, you know, 15 years ago, we were shooting on film, you know, and it was very expensive, and so you had stuff that looked great, it looked like, you know, the real deal, and then you had stuff that looked kind of a bit crappy, that was sort of indie stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas now, we're all using the same stuff. Whether, I mean, I've worked on things at $150 million budgets as a crew member, and I'm making my own movie that's, you know, a lot smaller than that, and the technology is ostensibly the same. So I don't really think there's any good reason now why everyone can't make a movie.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Congratulations for making it in, and good luck for the screening tonight. Is it the world premiere?
It is.
It is. Amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for talking.